Well, hello and welcome, and thanks for joining on RATPAC this evening and talking about Winter Field Day. Um, we got a lot of stuff to go through. I'm guessing half hour or so to be able to go through some of this data and information and kind of talk about where Winter Field Day is at, where it's come from, and where we're really heading. We've been on World Radio League on Monday. We were on the Ham Radio Clubhouse last night. And so some of the information, if you've seen one of those shows, you'll probably hear a little bit of a repeat of some information. But again, we continue to evolve and we continue to change and grow every year. And so everything's a little different from year to year. We don't keep it stagnant or the same. And some people may like that, some people don't. But we really find that it's best for people to be able to. We have to adapt and change as technology and ham radio grows and new people come in, and we try and find new things to be able to keep them occupied as well. So here's a little bit about me. 30 years in amateur radio, got licensed back in 95. I am the host of the Ham Radio Guy podcast, and I produce a podcast on a regular basis. I'm also the president here of Winter Field Day. And so I've got a YouTube channel as well that I do, also called the Ham Radio Guy. And so, I like getting out and doing pod activations. I'm now a proud repeater owner in Wisconsin and getting that up and running. Glad to get that working and starting to hear a few contacts on it now, which is kind of cool to be able to see that happen and get that put up. And it's got moderate, decent coverage. So it's not going to, cover the state or something, but it's going to, it's got, good 10, 15 miles, 20 miles worth of range. So I can't complain. And then I'm also one of the operators for 13 colonies every year. And it's kind of some major highlights there. What happened to there we go. So what is Winter Field Day? A lot of people ask that. And, it's one of those things that, it's been something that's been around for 19 years. It's always held the last full weekend in January, and it should be for 2026. It should be the 24th and 25th. So my apologies, I didn't get that updated on this slide. I missed that completely when I was updating the other slides. It is very similar to Summer Field Day, but we changed in 2025. We changed bonus points to objective number multipliers, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as things go on. And we do like to keep people in more in the field. A lot of people did home during COVID, and we're trying to reduce that a little bit more and get more people out in the field and be able to operate. And I'll show you kind of the different categories that you can operate from or how you can operate through Winter Field Day as well. So our main mission here, man, all of a sudden, is that we want people who go out and operate in adverse conditions. That we know that batteries degrade during cold weather, antennas can fall apart, weather freezes, or antennas freeze, coax may be cold and snap or break. Depending on the type of coax. Sometimes if it's really hard and frozen, it's really cold. And working in those adverse conditions just makes things more challenging. You're tromping through snow. You can only endure weather so much for yourself. It can become very cold out there. And so, what type of conditions can you put yourself in and how long can you endure out there yourself, which is always kind of a cool thing to challenge and check yourself for and see what you can do. When we took over Winter Field Day in 2022, we kept it pretty much the same. We didn't change much. Our core principles are remaining the same. Natural disasters are unpredictable. They don't happen in sunny and 70-degree weather all year, during the year. They can happen anytime, anywhere. I'm sure, as I've said in several other presentations recently, is that like 2 years ago in Helene, when those people in North Carolina got hit, they didn't expect in the end of September to have a major hurricane come through and hit them in North Carolina and wipe out the hillsides and mountains like they did. And they really had no communication or very little communication. And there was, the ham operators or people who maybe had some FRS radios or GMRS radios were sharing with their neighbors and talking, back and forth and checking in on each other. And so it's one of those things that you don't know when or where that disaster will strike. if that's going to be something in your neighborhood, is it going to be something in your city, something in your state, something more regional maybe? And so it can come in different, forms and sizes. And it may just be something, hey, we had a fire, we had a flood in our house, we had, the basement, flooded, whatever it might be. It could be something very small, even. It doesn't have to be, but that to you is an emergency. That is a disaster. Um, and so, what do you do in those type of situations? If you have a major rainstorm and you live up on a hill somewhere and something happens, how are you going to communicate? How are you going to get out? If your roads are, washed and flooded away. So you're going to depend on your radio, and that's what we, as we do as amateur radios operators. And so, uh, you want to make sure you have skills and training to be able to do that, and yet you have, some experience behind it. If you're just a person that maybe carries a license and you say, I've got a radio, I'm only going to use it when I have an emergency, it's probably not the time to do that. So, you need to have a little practice. You need to know how to operate. You need to know how to do it. And that goes, for anything, any time of the year. It's like even I'll be honest, I had like a handheld the other day. I'm kind of going, oh crap, how do I quickly adjust this setting or change this setting? And it's like, I should know this. And I don't practice with my radio enough to be able to keep it up. And so it's like, well, that's a downfall of my own. So it's just one of my HTs, but a little HTs, they're a little different, and it's the way it goes. So, but we try and we've kept everything pretty much the same, but we've changed a few things along the way. But again, the core principles are the same. Our Winter Field Day Board of Directors, myself as the president, Travis Hembach out of Missouri. He's part of the Missouri Outdoor Club. They do a huge Winter Field Day event. He's our secretary. Craig Vodnik out of Texas as a treasurer. Michael Turner, my brother, he recently on here with NARA, talking about he's the creative services manager, does a lot of the back end stuff, some of the rules, along with Mike Kelly, who's the very last person there, social media manager. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Mastodon. So we're on those 4 different sites. And then our Andrew Kitchens does the website back end as well. And some of our managing of the SQL database we use for doing all of our scoring. I'm not going to go through a whole lot of the history. Again, it started in about 2006, and the first Winter Field Day was held in 2007. That makes this year the 19th year. It has changed hands twice. I am now the third, I'll call it owner of Winter Field Day, taking over it and continue to run the organization. And as Winter Field Day kind of embarks on its 19th year, I think that really starts to stand up and say that it really has some resilience and ingenuity, and the community around Winter Field Day has really taken taken a stance, and it's really come a long ways. Winter Field Day is a worldwide organization, and we've really made it much more than just. I would say it's no longer just a niche event that happens. It is a major fixture in the world of amateur radio every year now. There's no doubt I will get after a week after Summer Field Day, somebody will email and say, when are the Winter Field Day rules coming out? It happens inevitably every year. So it's one of those things that it's really taken on its own character, and people are look forward to it as one of the major events to do it, and they really enjoy getting out and doing it. And so I've heard people say, well, how about you do a spring one, or how about you do a fall one? And it's like, I'll stick with winter. Just because of the organization and getting it put together, it's a lot of work, and we're all volunteers and we all have full-time jobs, and it's really tough otherwise. So I'm going to show you how this has continued to evolve and grow over the years. So you can see that there was in 2023, 2,300 logs were submitted. We made about 296,000 QSOs, or made a little over, I should say. And we had 19,000 different call signs. So, it's like, hey, that's pretty significant. That's a good thing, right? We're looking good there. And we have, continued to kind of track some of these stats over the years, and I think it's pretty cool. I don't have some things like, home was the most popular category with average users working 4.4 hours in 2023. I don't have that information for 2025. And the most popular logging software, I would say even today, is M3FJP. And we'll get into logging software in just a minute here. I have some words about that as well. So that was in 2023. In 2024, we had 2,085 logs. So we had just a few less that year and a few less QSOs. Um, I think it's because we had some major changes we made that year, and that's where we like took the bonus points and stuff away that year. And so that was um, people had a little issue with that, and they didn't like that. So we took bonus points away and decided to do something a little different. And so we had 92 countries work that year. And again, M3FGP continues to be the most popular software. In 2025, I don't have a current slide for that, but we had three. So you look at this, how many numbers we had for QSOs. We had over 357,000 QSOs last year. 776 clubs participated, and we had over 26,000 unique call signs. So we had significant growth in 2025. And I fully expect to have more growth here in 2026 as we do Winter Field Day. And so I think we'll see a lot more than that. I'm hoping we could get close to 400,000 QSOs. So we're gonna be right near that number somewhere. So I think we'll certainly grow. We may not make 375, but I'm hoping we'll get over that. That's my ultimate goal. So we'll see where that goes. Some other things for Winter Field Day. Before I get into some other clarifications, is that unlike Summer Field Day, and I'm not trying to compare myself against ARRL, though that's not where I'm going with this. But a lot of people will sometimes say, "Oh, you're part of the ARRL. Your field day is just like theirs or something." And we are a little, have some similarities, but we are very, very different for sure. And so, we like to be able to make sure you can test those portable communications under winter adversity, like I said in the very beginning. And so, we also have the alternative power and field setups. And we keep those very similar to what ARRL does, but we want you to be able to check the battery, the solar generator power. It's always good to go out and test them. So why not go ahead and use them at the same time? And you know during disasters, those are things you're going to have to rely on. And so you know how like last year I had a mast. I was in the cold weather, and part of my mast broke because it was so brittle, so cold, and so it was like that made it a little defective. That made it a little bit tough to operate for some of the winter field days. So I was able to adapt and overcome and use something else. But still, those things when you're doing antenna deployments, those things can happen. You kind of go, all right, what now? Again, we continue to broaden those operating skills, through the winter time as well, and we like to be able to build the community and readiness culture, and bring in people from around the world into our winter field day. So because we're wide open. So this year we are working with a group out of Ireland. Uh, Last year, for the first time, we did a broadcast message very similar to what they do for ARRL during the summer, and we did a winter field day one. And a group in Europe asked us if we could do one for Europe. And so I said, well, I don't know if we can transmit that far and be able to make you guys hear it, depending on, band conditions and propagation, et cetera. And said, well, how about we do it over here? Let's get permission to do it. So we were able to work with Ireland and the comm regulation group over there this year. And the group of guys, we were able to submit an email as a supplement to their information. And we were able to get that approval for them to use full watts in Ireland to be able to communicate over to Europe across the pond there, and send a broadcast message for them this year. So hopefully people who are listening will be able to hear that, and all that information will be shared on our Discord channel, our social media, and you'll see that information coming out probably here by end of the week is what we're hoping for that broadcast. You won't hear the message. We won't know what that message is until field day, but we'll definitely give you the bands, the times, and the different modes in which we'll be broadcasting that message. So, a lot of things I've found through my years of doing winter field day is some of the things that I want to just clarify here is a lot of people sometimes will have 3 or 4 stations set up, but sometimes they don't have enough operators to fulfill those stations. So it's one of those things that I said, don't count a transceiver if it must be left unattended, to make another contact, or if it just you set it up but nobody's there to operate it. So instead of having three indoors, maybe you're only two indoors. If you don't have enough people to operate that, just because you had three stations there, but nobody's really able to operate it, then it doesn't really count to be in that category. And it's just somewhat kind of honesty and integrity as well. And you're the one to have to sleep at night knowing that. But we hope that kind of an honest application there is being applied. Um, if you have a field day set up where you have multiple people, maybe there's somebody outside in a tent, you have maybe somebody else is in a mobile trailer or an RV, and then you have a community center as well. Kind of choose the class that best applies to the majority of the stations. So if you've got three operators inside and one in a tent and one in a mobile trailer or RV, then probably choose the class that goes indoors. It would be the best way to describe what your operating event class and category should be. So you would just have five indoors, even though there's somebody outside in a tent operating, and that's where they want to be. Just because they're outside doesn't make them necessarily outdoors. It again, this kind of applies to the majority of the stations. Um, Scores are very simply based now on QSO times the objective number multiplier, and we don't do the power output multiplier, times the band and a mode multiplier anymore. That is null and void. It was getting to be too complicated to figure some of that stuff out, and so we said, what, we're going to simplify this. We want to keep it simple, stupid, and so we got rid of that. So that's something we've changed. Um, and in 2025, and we've kept it the same for here for 2026 as well. We did change the event to 30 hours. And one of the, again, more clarifications on this, why we did that was when I moved out east to Massachusetts, I was talking to some of the guys, and I'd realized that when I do park activations before Winter Field Day, even, and it was like, the park closes at 4 p.m., so you need to make sure you're wrapping up and out of here pretty quick. And it was like, closes at 4? What do you mean? It's like, yeah, we close at 4. We're only open from 8 to 4. Well, our Winter Field Day time at that point was starting at 2 p.m. So if you get out there about, let's say, 11 o'clock, maybe noon, you're there working in the park, you're doing a port activation, it hits 2 o'clock, and you start doing Winter Field Day. Well, by 3 o'clock, you got to wrap up, be done, packed up, and be out the door so you can be out of the park by 4. And so it was like it gave you an hour to operate, maybe an hour and a half, maybe tops. I thought, well, how fair is that to really people on the East Coast? So like they shut their parks down basically on the East Coast. It was unbelievable. I'd never thought for a moment about that. So we said, how about we open this up to 11 o'clock in the morning? That makes it about 7 a.m. Eastern, or I'm sorry, Western time. And so I didn't want to start people at 5 or 4 a.m. in the morning going on the West Coast starting Winter Field Day. I figured they wouldn't appreciate that very much. So trying to be applicable to all the masses, we said, well, 7 o'clock may be reasonable, and we start Winter Field Day then, and then it's 11 o'clock on the East Coast, and so they can account for some more additional hours in some of the parks that people are operating. So we made the event 30 hours then to be able to do that. If someone wants to operate in a park on Saturday and they want to change locations and go to a different park on Sunday, perfectly fine. You don't have to remain fixed during the complete event. If you want to do a bit of a rove, you can. However, the rove has to remain in the same section. You can't go from North Florida or Central Florida to North Florida to Southern Georgia, to Georgia or to Louisiana or something. You've got to be able to stay in the same section that you're in. So as long as you're in the same section, you're fine. We don't have to change that. And again, we changed objectives or bonuses to objectives to now multipliers. And so that's been, and I'll show you how that looks in just a minute here as well. Again, we add the bulletin, and we keep it fairly short. We feel that the summer one was a little long, and it was like 6 minutes, and it was a lot for people to copy. And most people have to record it. We understand that because there's no way you can write, type, or probably CW that message quick enough to be able to keep up with it. So, but we do send, I want to say, around 20 words per minute is what we're sending the CW message as. So that's kind of where we have it. Last year, for the first time, we were able to partner with the World Radio League Partnership. We have a partnership with them again this year. And I don't have an updated photo for that one to say Winterfield Day 2026. They created that one, and I don't really have a new one for that. But that's when we started it with them. And so I might just leave that anyway. But they are able we were able to verify, and we did this with some other loggers too, that their export of their class and call sign, or the class and the category, I'm sorry, is being correctly exported through an ADIF format. So we've checked some other loggers for that as well and confirmed that when they export ADIFs, that those fields are matching correctly for the correct class and category. So when they get submitted on our side, we see that as class and category and not as something labeled as something else. A lot of loggers don't necessarily follow a direct true ADIF format standard. And so you kind of have to call them on that sometimes and clarify it. And we've had to do that with a couple different companies or software developers that do logging software. So they were just one of them this year to confirm that that was right. And they have made that correction and they are good to go. And they also have a leaderboard on there that is live for them. And they had over 100, I think they have over 100 participants already registered for it this year. And they had way over 100 last year. It was a very successful event for World Radio League. And it was really cool. They could export from their system as Cabrilla or ADIF, and we can take either one. I was really shocked at how many people started asking, what is Cabrilla format? And I was like, you've obviously never done a contest in your life. So, and did you not learn something when you're a technician, probably, or general? But anyway, it was one of those things that I was kind of surprised that a lot of people don't like Cabrillas and they just do ADIFs. And maybe that's because a lot of POTA, that's how they do their exports for that, and that's what people are used to. But we've been able to allow both, and people do like that. It seems to work out. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass for us, I'll be honest, on our back end for doing that. But we're trying to, again, accommodate to the masses and make it work. So, the only thing we changed on it this year, I'd have to change screens actually over to our, I think we added one different thing on here. We have working 12 different bands as well. So you work 6 different bands, you work 12 different bands. There's now 33 points available for objective multipliers. And again, the math is written here for me, which is nice because I don't do math online ever. And if you make, 100 QSOs and you did all the objectives, you'd have, 2,600 points. So, that's how you're going to make your points now, per se. Those are kind of your bonus stations to be able to do these multiplier objectives. And what that really does is forces people to get out and actually try and do something, learn something new, do something different, and be more adverse in amateur radio. They get to do something new, and maybe you've never made a wind link contact, but that's your goal to be able to do that this year. So maybe you've never made a satellite FM contact. So those are the things that we want to be able to provide people to do. So we'll talk more about 2026 objectives and how some of those will change. I'll give some examples of what those will look like as well. But these are pretty much all the same as last year. Like I said, we added the 12 hours, I'm not sorry, 12 hours, the 12 different bands. And we don't allow the work bands though, but there are others out there that you can look at, like 2 meters, 440, 220. I mean, you can operate on all those different bands for Winterfield Day. It doesn't just have to be HF. So it definitely gives you some options there. I'm not going to go too much into this, why we don't allow FT8, but basically the bottom line is that it doesn't pass the digital emergency traffic. It doesn't pass the emergency traffic that we need to be able to pass through an emergency. And so some people argue it. I've had people say, well, I have a medical condition. I did this. It really does. You can use this to pass, to do more. And it's like, I don't care. We're not doing it. It doesn't really pass the sniff test for being able to really, I guess you could type, 911 or something in there do some other characters, maybe if you needed something to really truly emergency. But other beyond a grid square and a signal report, it doesn't do anything more. So it doesn't really help anybody through an emergency to do this. And I doubt that's going to be a valid method you're going to use when it really comes down to relaying emergency information in any condition. So, so we just don't do FTA. And that's kind of what the prior board had, and we've kept with that promise to be able to keep that out of the game. Um, Let's go into a couple other things before I go into talking about the submitting the log. And um, this is, um, one of those things of really looking ahead of where we're going and what we're doing. And as I said, with 19 years behind us and this other ever growing participation, uh, again, we've kind of created Winter Field Day to be a cornerstone, a staple in amateur radio. And we are committed to I mean, our goal, our mission, or a 501(c)(3, and we have to have a purpose. And it really is about growing our commitment to preparedness, and that's what we will continue to push throughout the years. And that goes for the thousands of operators out there, the clubs and the contacts, is that we want you to be the best prepared that you can be. And as we continue to evolve every year, we have rule updates that we'll make and we'll change. We went from probably like a 15-page document when we first started down to about 6 or 7 pages now for rules. Some of the rules were redundant. Sometimes they were what do I call it, stated one way in one part of the rules, and then farther down 2 or 3 pages later, they'd kind of be restated, but maybe in a little bit different way. So they were very confusing for people and just weren't very clarified. And we've really cleaned that up a lot. And as we get new objectives and change things every year, from your home, your mobile, your indoor and outdoor categories, we really do give people a wide variety of ways to operate. And so, whether that's a new or a veteran, amateur radio operator, either one. And we understand that again, I always encourage people to get outside of home and do something above and beyond, because you've got 364 other days of the year you can operate from your home. But we understand there is a place for home operators, and that home operators are essential to us, because you're going to have people out in the field, but you also need somebody who can make that relay or maybe make that phone call from home. And uh, there are people who are elderly. There are people who may have just got a broken leg, may be sick, may not be able to participate for whatever other reason of health. And so they, not able to get out and about and do something outside, but yet they can still play from home. So we want to be able to allow those people to continue to be there. And we've had, a lot of people complain on both sides. Why do you continue to allow home? And it's like, well, why don't you have allow do more, like give more points to home people? And it's like, well, those home stations have too much power. They're operating more than 100 watts. And we hear it all. I mean, I've really gone the gamut of it, but it's just like we got it. We do level to 100 watts. And so we kind of give everybody an equal playing field, because those people who are home are probably still using their, you know, 60, 70, 80 foot, 120 foot tower. Maybe it's just a dipole strung between two trees in the backyard, but they, potentially could have an advantage depending on their tower setup and et cetera. So, or their situation that they have set up there. So it's one of those things that we do ask people to use 100 watts, and we hope you kind of set up a portable, tower, or a portable tower, or a portable setup, a portable antenna of some sort for winter field day if you're home. But again, maybe that's not always capable for everybody. So we certainly get that. But we do like to make sure we welcome everybody across the board. And you know, it's winter field is made not perfect. We try and make it a perfect blend of really an opportunity to test your gear, sharpen your income, and connect the larger ham committee under these winter conditions. And so as people are getting prepared now for winter field day, and it probably have been for 2 or 3 months, we are trying to wrap things up for ourselves, as we had a board meeting just on Monday night, talking about kind of some things we had to put some finishing touches on. And that's like the broadcast message. We have a newsletter that will be coming out here So if you haven't signed up for our newsletter yet, go out to our website. There is a location there. Let me pull it up real quick on my back end here on another device. And um, come on. I won't say where that is exactly at on the web page. I should know probably, right? And it's um, I think if you go under resources and you go to newsletter and you can sign up right there. So it used to have a CAPTCHA thing. We don't have that anymore. So you should be able to sign up under our email and get our newsletter. We only maybe produce it once, twice a year. That we'll use it to blast you guys with some information. It's kind of a reminder and then some information along the way. Um, so as we go into submitting the log after Winter Field Day, it can be submitted up to March 1st. We did have a little bit of extension last year because of a few problems on our back end, but we allowed that for like maybe a week longer. But then we did shut that off after that point. So if you do have an error, we just ask that you correct it and resubmit it, and that will replace the version you originally submitted. And then at right now, if you go look at the website, it's like, well, where do I submit my log? Well, that won't open up until the day of Winter Field Day. And then from there, you'll be able to see a submit button at the very top of the page, and you should be able to do it there. Before I go into the future, the other thing is about submitting is I want to touch base on is the registering your location. If you are going to do a Winter Field Day site as a person and you're out in the public somewhere, if you have a club, a community center, a firehouse, whatever maybe you have a field you're going to be go setting up in, and you can invite the public, or maybe a newcomer, maybe somebody is new in amateur radio and they say, I've heard about this Winter Field Day thing. I don't know what it is. They go out to our website and say, oh, look at that. There's a location. And I can look at my location on the map and go, oh, there's one just down the road from me. There's a local club that's putting this together, or an individual or group or something. And I can go visit that site and find out a little bit more about it. And you could gain a new member off of that. You could maybe get this person on the air. Maybe they just got the general license or extra license. And so you gain another operator out of it. So it's really advantageous for clubs to go out and register on our website. And it kind of gives us an idea of how many people are participating as well and where they're participating from around the world, because it's information we kind of like to know. And it's pretty simple. It probably takes you less than 5 minutes to know where you're at. All we ask is you have to have is your longitude and latitude. And if you're going to put the latitude in, just put the minus in front of like the 75 or 93 or whatever your number is for that second number. Because if not, you're going to end up operating in China somewhere. So, or Mongolia or somewhere weird like that. So just put the minus sign in front first, and that will definitely put you on the map in the right location then. So we go out and register on our Winter Field Day site, and that helps us and helps other people too. So sometimes, if you're out in Colorado or probably going to be in Texas or something, I'm probably not going to come visit you. But if you're in Mass or Wisconsin, somewhere in that area, it's quite possibly I might even show up at one of your sites. So if you're not too far away, I try to go within about an hour or two and visit a website or a Winter Field Day site if I can. So it's always kind of fun to see what other people do and those sort of things. So as I've touched on some of this, and I probably went through a lot of it, but the future of Winter Field Day, we do hope and really expect to see an increased participation in this, and certainly more growth this year than we did last year. We've had a lot of outreaches on social media. This is one of our great ways that we do it. I don't know if we gave a presentation last year, but I think we did 2 years ago. And so we appreciate Dan inviting us back for this. You'll also find us. Last night was on Ham Radio Clubhouse, and I think we have one on Ham Radio 2.0 on Sunday night, and we also have the Ham Nation will be next Wednesday night. So you'll find us doing a couple more of these social media outlets, outreaches, and then of course we're on all the major ones, like I said, Twitter, Facebook, Mastodon. And we have a Discord channel as well. If you haven't joined our Discord channel, please get in there and do that. We have a lot of great information. A lot of good stuff is shared in there. And we really will provide the most updates throughout those different media outlets. So if you don't like social media like Twitter and Facebook's, Discord is a great way to go and still receive the information that you need to. to get some of this stuff out. So we try in many different ways to make sure everybody's getting a fair information across the board. And then it's like, well, I didn't know. How was I supposed to find it? Well, we are, pushing this in every which way we can. Again, we have several of these YouTubes that we go out and make or presentations that we do along the way. There is sponsorship opportunities for people. If you want we are self-funded. We do not have any major sponsorship at this point. Icon was with us for about 2 years, but they pulled out of a lot of different things, not just us. And so we did a little bit of creation this year to create a store. But if you donate $100 or more, your name goes on our website as one of the sponsors. And then, we have people quite often will make I think even today I saw a $5 and a $25 donation, and you can choose whether you want to pay the credit card fee or not pay the credit card fee, either one. We're fine with it either way, but we do appreciate we are, again, self-funded 501c3 nonprofit, tax deductible. We are not, we do have a little bit of operating budget that we have to expend every year for keeping up on a server, to keeping all of our databases and information there. We have website cost, and some hosting fees for like websites and things like that we have to pay for along the way. We do have some winter field day swag as well that we try and purchase and hand out at different ham fests when we can. And so it depends on who's going to be there and when. And so it's some of those things that we'll buy and have out there for people as well. So again, small cost, but we do have a store this year, as I mentioned a minute ago, and you can go out to our winterfieldday.com, and at the very top it says store, and from there we have t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts, we have sweatshirts, we have a Winter Field Day flag, we have like a yard banner, we have cups and mugs, a beanie, a hat, like a stocking cap, however you want to call that, whatever in different parts of the country, whether it's Coke, Pepsi, soda, beanie, stocking cap, whatever you want to call it. So we have a lot of different things with the Winter Field Day logo on there. And so, a small portion of that, and I'm talking probably less than $4 on most items. That's probably the high end that we are making on any one of those single products. So we're not making a lot, but $4 here, $4 there, it definitely does add up over time. So, if we made a couple $100 this year at max on it, I'd be really surprised. But it also gives people an opportunity to go out and visit our brand new shirt that we designed just for 2026. And we'll have another t-shirt each and every year going forward with a new design. And we'll talk about that as I get into 2019 here. I'm sorry, 2019 into from our 19th to our 20th year. And we are super excited about that. So we have a lot planned for next year in 2020, or in 2027 for our 20th year. So sorry for the confusion on that. One of those things, I'll talk about that in a second. I'll come back to special event bonus stations. Yeah, we always have new documentation. It's always on the top of the website. Go check that out. We have all kinds of stuff under resources. And so you can find a lot going on there too. Yeah, how to participate this year. Again, go out to winterfieldday.com, register your site. We have a lot of different logging software that we use or that people can use. And these are kind of the preferred loggers. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, as an example, N3FJP has several different versions of the Winter Field Day log that he's created over the years. Version 2.1, 2.3, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 8, 9, etc. So currently, I believe he is at 2.9. What we find is that we know that latest and current version of the logging software is accurate and has the right information being exported when you export the Cabrillo or ADI format. The problem is someone has version 2.1 from 2006 that they're still using. And you laugh, but we will end up with somewhere between about 20 and 30 different versions of N3FJP that they are submitted. Because we know what log, when you submit that, it tells us what logging program and what version you're using. So it starts to create problems for people, and they wonder why, well, I don't know why my log did that. I submitted everything right. And it's like, I did this. Like, Well, what version were you using? Well, 2.1. Well, that was from 8 years ago, sir. You need to update your logging to the current present version. And so anyway, people get a little mad at us, but it's like, don't be mad at us. We're not the one that didn't update the software. So um, but N1MM hammers, World Radio League, and I think DX log is the other one that is current producing a current ADI format. That is correct with the latest version. So please make sure you update your loggers for that. Um, Again, you find us on social media. Trying to think what else I got in here. Before I get into, let's see, I'm trying to think of anything else I want to cover that. A lot of people kind of consider that Winter Field Day may be a contest. And while we can make that argument that maybe it is, and maybe it isn't, we like to think of it as an operating event, similar to something like 13 Colonies or Route 66. It's an event, with a purpose, and the points and contacts, making as many as you can. While that is certainly a element that a lot of people do like, and they like that's what they are thriving on. That's what they want to do. That's what the reason for doing it. They want to see how many points they can get, and that's certainly their privilege and their right to be able to do that. And so we, continue to keep the points and the multipliers around. But we really like to think of this as kind of a training opportunity, and um, not necessarily about making up all the contacts and racking up numbers. It's really about being ready for when disaster strikes, and when that weather is uncooperative. We might be called to provide that communication, and we want to be able to be prepared to be able to do that. So that's our goal, and that's kind of the conflict that we get sometimes from other groups or other people. Um, but and we want it to be a day of fun for people to enjoy, and for people to get on the air and not feel like it's so crazy that they can't get on the air and operate, especially if they're being new, by any means. So um, I went through a little bit of this earlier. Basically, we are again, nonprofit organization. We're dedicated volunteers. We are unpaid. So your contributions are going just to support our mission. And you can either, shop our store, go to our donation at the very top of our Winter Field Day page, and help support the growth of amateur radio, and continue to make this emergency communication push that we use. We do accept PayPal. And again, the link is at the top of our webpage there. So that's a little bit about how to help support us if you wish to do so. And we do get a few here and there. I kind of no longer a supporter. QRZ's been great for us. We've really enjoyed working with QRZ. They've kind of given a free advertisement to us at the top of their page, that their banner that scrolls every time you refresh your page. A little new banners at the very top, and so that will change, and Winterfield Day will show up once in a while there. Um, let's see. I don't know how quick I went through this. Well, 45 minutes worth. Wow, I've been on this longer than I thought I was. So I thought, man, I'm pushing right through this. But any questions at this point?
There was one question about WinLink. Will you allow WinLink over Telnet?
WinLink over Telnet?
Hmm.
Nope, it must go out via. If you
All
go
right.
back and read our rules, everything must leave the station via RF.
Okay. That's what I thought. That's a good thing.
Yep, yep, and that is in our Winter Field Day rules. I don't have that in front of me, but
I trust.
I can.
It's good.
Yeah. So,
It
but
makes sense.
I mean, we do allow other contacts and or other like spotting as long as it's going out via RF. You can certainly do that. We've had some of those questions come up, and people do allow that as well, um, for that type of thing to happen. So. Um, Someone asked me, so, well, what if we live stream? Is that spotting? You know what? It's called modern technology. If you want to live stream your Winter Field Day event and people know what frequency you're on during that live stream and they're following you, so be it. I mean, I'm not the police. I can't go around and, uh, you know, knock everybody down for that. So it's like we just kind of configure that's part of the um, growing technology of things. What about contacts via AC? Hold on, the question disappeared here. There's an income mode which our EDM group has been using for practice sessions. Yeah, I don't know why you can't use Vera AC, so that's perfectly fine. And one of those things, so I know I was going to mention I didn't. Let me go back a little bit. So talk a little bit about the future more of 2027 and going into our 20th year. Some of the things that we want to be able to do is um, be able to add a like a slow scan television objective. We'll have a special image just for 2027 for our winter field day message. We are looking for, we may or may not have a group. We have to check with them and see if they're willing to do it. They probably will. We did a little bit of a change this year with a group called the Flag and Torch Society. They are a military group, and they have basically a group in every um, help me out here. Like every section, 0 through 9. What do they call those different sections throughout the state? So you're in 4 land, you're in 0 land, whatever. But they have a group in every section basically, and a region of that area, and so they are creating a log, even though they're in call it 10 different locations. They have a log that is all being controlled via the internet, and they are logging as one group across the board as the Flag and Torch Society. And so while they're not within that 1,000 feet, we gave it a little bit of a variance for that, for them to be able to try that and see how it works. It's kind of a test run to see how a group like that will work, because that group is spread throughout, and they're all the way across the country from one coast to the other, and from Canada to Mexico. So uh, they approached us and asked us if this is something be possible, and we worked with them quite closely to kind of figure out all the rules and what we specified for them to be able to what they could or could not do. And so they might be able to do something like this for us next year, where we have the word winter, which is 6 letters, and you have to try and contact each and every letter of that as a station. So we have a maybe W1W, maybe W, I have to figure out what we're gonna do for I, whatever, however we do it, W2W, whatever. Maybe we can do something like that, and then come up with different special event call signs for each letter. And so that may be something we may look at doing as a possibility. We have other objectives that we want to change and look at as well. And if there's, um, maybe look at even setting up like a WinLink station. So it's all going to, you can send a message to all just one station and then reply to that and get a reply from that station. So that may be something that may be possible next year. So we're looking at a lot of different options, and we'll have a whole new logo for next year for 2027 for a 20th year anniversary, celebrating 20 years of Winter Field Day, which we're super excited about. We may even look at maybe naming the bear next year. Maybe we have a contest about naming the bear. I don't know. I mean, there's all kinds of speculations and things that we're randomly thinking about that maybe, um, we'll see what we can do. So. But I like what Gus said. You cannot just please everyone. You do not like Winter Field Day. There are other events to do too. Exactly. So I mean and we have it. That's the way we kind of said, like, if you want to do FT8 and you don't like, because Winter Field Day doesn't allow it, then so be it. Just go work FT8 by yourself. You might be the only one out there because everyone else is gonna be on JS8 call, or they will be you know on some other band doing Winter Field Day probably, but because again, it is getting to be very active as an event every year. Maybe we should move the home category, get out of your comfort zone, and operate remotely. Yeah, I mean, there's that too. I mean, but again, I think we do have a place for home people just in case something does happen. Uh, but remote stations are an interesting element, because I have a remote station myself. I'm here in a hotel here tonight, And before my night's over, I'll probably log back into my remote station back at home on a flex radio and just see who's on the bands and maybe even look at a little FT8 and see who I can get for a DX sheet late tonight. Call sign areas. Yes, thank you, Barry. That's what I was looking for earlier. But I'll probably hop on my remote station, do a little bit tonight, and see how it goes. So it's a little interesting to throw remote stations in there and how people can do it and where they're remoting from. I think that creates a interesting element for a lot of contests sometimes, but um, that is certainly a good thing to have too. So because I love my remote station, I don't know what I'd be doing without it right now. So
Marvin,
yeah.
Marvin. Yeah, Robert's got his hand up had for a while. We've got two
Oh,
people there. So,
okay.
Robert, let
What
me
do you
come
got?
on.
One comment, two questions. First comment relative to what you were just saying about home stations. I would encourage keeping the home station category. I'm all in favor of people getting out, but having people operating from home makes more people for us to contact during the event.
Yeah.
I want them out there to talk to, and a lot of people I understand can't get out or it's
That's my feeling on it too. A lot of people can't get out sometimes, and we've had people say, "Well, how about home stations? Just get a hold of home stations." But you don't always know who that home station is if they're just calling, W0 MET Winter Field Day, Whiskey Zero, Mike Echo Tango Field Day, and it's like you don't know if they're home, they're mobile, they're indoor, or outdoors until unless you sit there and just listen to them every time. So it's one of those things I don't foresee that going away. We just get a lot of complaints about it both ways. And like I said, you can't please everybody. We're going to keep it around because I do feel there's value in a home station for sure. So
yeah.
as long as I'm
I
around,
think
unless we just changed something completely and went wild with something crazy, which I don't see us doing, those four categories. I mean, I'll be honest. I am going to make one gripe. ARRL's field day is a pain in the ass to figure out what category you're going to operate because they have Alpha, Alpha Bravo, Alpha Battery, Alpha Bravo, Charlie Battery. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even remember what category I'm supposed to be anymore at this point. So we keep it indoor, outdoor, mobile, indoor, outdoor, indoor, mobile, or home, and like pretty simple. So that's we like to keep it that way for sure.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I think as long as everyone's limited to 100 watts, that's a pretty level playing field.
I think so. Yeah, that's what we try and say too.
First question, when will the bulletin schedule be published?
Probably if it's not by Friday, I'd say Saturday at the latest. So
Okay, just
yeah,
check the website for it. The other thing
check
is
the website, check our social media. It will be posted everywhere we can possibly post it. I promise you. So
okay. The other thing is on the objectives, I was surprised to see the objective for SSB CW satellite contact.
you're talking about the
wanna,
current. You're talking about in the current for this current year, right?
Yeah, I don't want to show my ignorance. I'm not a satellite expert at all, but my impression was that what few satellites there are all FM. Are there SSB CW satellites out there?
I'm going to say yes. If there was if we have it out there, I would say yes. But I honestly don't know that question to be quite frank.
I saw someone nodding their head, Frank.
Yeah, and by the way, I will plead ignorance. We only got involved looking at satellites lately because we had an ARIS contact that we were looking at doing. So I got an education real fast. But I actually have a book, ARRL book, published, written by Steve Ford, that was published in 2020, so it's relatively current. And it's got a list of probably about 40 or 50 satellites that are still functional, at least
many.
minimum. It was like a couple of pages just listing them one after the other. And I've got to say at least a dozen or 2 dozen of them were CW sideband types of non-FM. In fact, in the old days, the FM guys used to be minimal. Now they're a little bit more the norm, but there's still sideband and CW guys out there that are
Yeah,
orbiting.
I was going to say as long as if we put that in there, I'm pretty sure that we've
Oh,
verified
yeah.
that the single
It's
sideband
still
CW, but I just don't know which ones those particularly are. It's probably something. If you're in a satellite operation, you know which ones those are. If not, if you want to get into doing satellite for Winter Field Day, probably something you need to start researching tomorrow.
It's easy to find. There's
Yeah.
tons of information out there.
Dave News says that any satellite with a linear transponder can do SSB and CW.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Frank, you got your hand up there. You want to take it for a little bit?
Yeah, I've got a couple of first of all, two comments.
Yeah.
Number one, keeping the home station. We've actually got a wrinkle on that this year here locally in the Youngstown area. I'm in Mahoning County of Ohio.
Okay.
And,
Not far from me then.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
I'm in Sheffield tonight. So.
All right. But anyhow, welcome to the area. But we have a university station that's fairly active, and this year they've elected to participate in Winter Field Day. Now they
Nice.
will be participating. They were considering doing a remote location, but they will be doing it this year, and for the first time from the actual school station. So I'm not sure exactly how that qualifies. We're going to probably log it as home. All right. It's not really remote.
So do you know what type of building it's going to be in?
It's in their engineering
So
building.
that'll be classified as probably indoor.
Yeah.
The only thing we will classify as home is like a permanent livable residence. That becomes
Okay,
home.
so this would be indoors. I'm glad
That
I
would be indoors.
mentioned it then. But they're
Yep.
they're really looking forward to it. And by the way, it might be something that you can add as some type of extra something or the other down the road to get some of these younger school types of university, high schools, etc. Because we also have a very active middle school, high school program in Columbiana County, just south of us.
Okay.
That's huge. I mean, that's the one that's got some world recognition, LMS.
Wow.
They're just amazing. But the school's starting to participate in something like this could be something to think about in the future.
Yeah, that'd be a good outreach if we could find a way to get into
Yeah,
those a bit more.
Exactly. So if there's a way to integrate schools participating in it, I would highly recommend it because
Okay.
there's a lot of them looking to do it. And YSU next year will be doing a remote, or not remote, but outdoors.
Sure.
But anyway, one of the other things I looked at, I pardon my ignorance, I didn't know you had a website. I should have known better. But I went on, and the first thing it says is, "Hey, enter, your location." And I'm okay because we have our setup starting. The actual club setup from Honing Valley is in process right now, and I'll mention that here in a second with my question because I do have a question. But there was no place to go and say, okay, like the ARRL locator, where is somebody near me, or what are the locations across the country, or whatever. If we're inputting locations, where is the place where someone can see where those locations are? I didn't see it. At least it's not obvious on the field
Yeah.
days.
Okay. So if you go in and you hit register your location, you get your email, your name, your call sign, your category. You put your longitude and latitude in there.
Yep.
For the location in which, if you're going to be in a park, you're going to be in a building, you go find the GPS through Google, and,
Yep.
and it gives you a 35 dot number, and then minus 75 dot
Yep.
number, and so then you can say, is this site for a club or visitor? You hit submit, and then if you go back to your home page and you scroll farther down your page, and you'll see a thing that says location map, and that location map, then you can zoom in and see all the locations that are currently registered. It has like a Google looking map about halfway down the page.
Hold on, I'm trying to. Oh,
Yeah.
I see it. Okay.
And that will show you all the
Sorry
locations.
about that. I didn't go down
absolutely.
far.
No, hey, if you missed it, so did that means somebody else did too. And so if you zoom in, you can start to see the location a little bit more closer because we initially just started putting pins all over the map, and that was for every time somebody registered, and it look like a great big cluster on there, and you couldn't really tell where things were. So now we broke it down into little sections where it says 10. You click in, you start zooming in. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see there's 7 or 8, now 9, 10 in that area, whatever, and you can get a little bit closer to the groups. So
Okay, on to my question about. I actually have a question on the rules. The club, Mahoning Valley Amateur Rodeo Association,
Yep.
will be setting up in a caboose, an actual train caboose that is at a museum site, a railroad museum site here in the county, actually within the city limits. It's called Modern Yard. It's kind of well known here locally, kind of a train park. And last year we did it as indoors, but I've been telling our club, no, this thing should qualify as mobile. And wouldn't you know it, this year they actually did move the cars to a different location because of us, because where we were setting up our antennas last year, we were too close to power line. So this year they actually brought out their locomotive and moved the two cabooses to a different location in their modern yard. So these cabooses really can move. And in reading your
Mobile category.
yeah, that would fit under mobile if I'm reading that correct.
I was gonna say, is this caboose inside a building or is it actually
No, this is
outside?
outdoors.
It's actually outdoors. So
Oh yeah, it's
um,
on rails. It moves.
I would say we look at it this way. If it's on the operations from a mobile or potentially mobile structure like an RV, car, trade, or van, sailboat, cargo trailer, mobile EOC, bass plane, etc. If it's on wheels and it moves, it's mobile.
Okay, then
So
we can put it down as
I would
mobile
I
this year.
would probably put you on mobile. I mean you could go potentially indoors with it as a potential, but because it is a weather protected building or
Well, that's what we
structure.
did last year. We put it down as indoors because I was shot down. They said, no, we can't. We don't
But
want to bend
but
rules here.
if
It's
I
not
read
really
indoors
mobile.
correctly, but it says that building, the indoor station is on a permanent foundation.
That's not.
That rail car is not on a permanent foundation. So
Nope.
therefore, I think your best class of category would be mobile. So
Okay, all right, you've answered my question. Thank you very
yeah,
much. And you guys are
hopefully
doing a bang up job, by the way. Really,
if you
really
guys,
good of it.
if you have other people who are questioning that, please reach out to us. We do have a help desk. It's helpdesk@winterfieldday.com, and it literally goes into a ticket system. We respond back to your tickets, and we can keep track of which ones are responded to, etc. And we do reply to each and every one of them, and some of those are within minutes. Sometimes they're within less than 24 hours. I promise you, we're getting back to these messages quickly.
Marvin, you guys are doing a great job. Really appreciate all you've done.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It is always good to hear that, and we do hear a lot of positive messages about Winterfield Day and the way we've ran it and started doing it. Like we had a little bit of growing pain in the beginning, trying to figure it out and trying to figure out how to make it the most simple and easy thing to do. And we had a little flack for a few changes we've made here and there. And like I said, we took away the bonus points one year, and people really got mad about that. Like, holy crap, you should have almost profanity yelled at us. But now we brought back the objective multipliers, and people are loving these a lot. So this has been really positive, and people love getting out and trying those objective number multipliers, and it's been really a positive thing. So we're very happy to keep those around. So again, a lot of things expected good for 2027, and we'll have a new T-shirt with a new logo and everything on it, and be celebrating 20 years, and we're looking really forward to that. And if you haven't checked out our store, please go check out our store. We have several purchases being made every day from people here and there. Sometimes we only get 3 or 4 people purchasing things every day for orders, but it is automatically drop shipped to you, and it's going well. So we appreciate that, and thank you for all you guys' support. And again, thank RATPAC for allowing us to come on here and give the presentation. Any other
Very good.
questions?
Okay. Um, my view thing is speaker, and are you hearing me okay, Marvin?
Just fine. No problem at all.
Okay, I won't worry about it. Anybody else got any questions out there? Any answers out there? Okay, well, it's been and this is the first RATPAC for this year, 2026. And I look forward to seeing this thing grow and go and do things along the way. And we hope to have more presentations, just like Marvin gave us tonight.
Absolutely. We appreciate it. Thanks again, Dan.
Okay, well, with that, I want to say 73s. Happy New Year to everybody.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you next week.
All right. Have a good one. Take care.